Hi guys, it's Matt here at M-vapes, and today we're going to have a quick look at the new Serpent Mini by Wotofo. And once I've sort of had a little look around it, we're going to do a quick build on it and point out some sort of little things that I've noticed that are pretty cool. This is obviously how it comes. You've seen all this before on the other reviews, so I won't go into detail. Instructions, t-shirt, atomizer, spare glass tank. 3 bags of bits. You get cotton, spare O-rings and grub screws, and some spare coils, pre-made coils. So let's have a little look at the atomizer itself. I'll just zoom in for you. Bear with me. There we go. Are we in focus? That's not bad. Right, there we go. The Serpent Mini. Lovely smooth adjustable airflow. 2 slots each side. This is the same drip tip that comes on the Conqueror, which is double O-ringed, and it's sort of hollow inside, so it's good for heat dissipation. And of course it is top fill as well, so you just unscrew that and we've got top fill there. Like I say, I'm not going to go into massive detail on this because everyone else has reviewed it and they've done a really good job. You know, check out people like Mark Todd, Todds Reviews, Dean the Vaping Biker. They've done awesome in-depth reviews, so I won't go over the same stuff because it's boring. But I'm just going to show you how I do my builds on it, because I do things a little bit differently to the other guys. I'm more of a mouth to lung inhale rather than direct lung inhale, so I tend to build higher ohm coils. So I'm going to show you how I do that, which might be of interest for those that are like me and do direct lung, not direct lung, mouth to lung. And I'm going to show you how I coil it to get around some little issues as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll just say that when you take the glass tank off, be very careful that you don't break it. And that does come off. I've had it apart earlier because I cleaned it all out. So right, let's go ahead and put a build on it. Now, if you remember seeing, if you've seen like Dean the Vape and Biker's review, Todd's review, there's a concern that if you put a coil in there, that the legs, if they protrude even the slightest amount past here, when you screw the chimney on, there's a good chance that the legs can touch the chimney and cause a short, which is very true. However, a couple of points I've noticed. One, if you measure the diameter of the thread here, which is 13.5-ish. I think my batteries are dying. However, the actual inside of the chimney section is slightly wider because obviously you've got a thread cut into a tube. You know, engineering guys will know that. But if you put your verniers down like so and you look down it, you'll see that the flat surface of the vernier obviously only touches the thread, but as you go further up the chimney, there's probably about a 0.6 mil gap. So that's each side. So you've got about a mil, 1.2 mil. I'd say certainly a mil of extra width. So if your legs are protruding, say 0.5 of a mil here and here, yes, it's going to touch on the chimney when you go to screw it on, but once you've screwed it on, they go past into the slightly wider section. It's not a solution as such, but it's something that if you're screwing it on, you'll feel the resistance of the legs touching the chimney, and you'll think that there's a problem. Which, you know, yes, if you can trim them down more, that's ideal. But you can try screwing it on all the way, having it on something like this, or, you know, a little ohm meter or something, and you'll be able to see if there's a difference in the ohms without the chimney on and with the chimney on, and then you'll be 100% sure if you've caused a short or not. But it's, you know, I'd say that's not a solution as such. It's just something else to be aware of. And like the other reviewers have stated, the secret is to make sure that you trim the legs really, really short. But going into that, I'll show you how I do it. And obviously, you know, it's been mentioned before, but it's a way of doing it that works quite well without, you know, causing any problems. So let's go ahead and whack a coil in. I'm just going to make sure we're in focus. There we go. Right, I've already pre-built a coil. This is going to hopefully come out about 0.9 of an ohm. And again, I won't go into detail about, you know, positioning the coil top way, bottom way. It's all been covered before. But one thing I will say is this is 26 gauge wire, and if I just hold it down and screw it in, the wire is going to slip underneath the screw and not be secure. If you actually hold the wire up so it sits dead in the center of the screw, and just carefully screw it up, there we go. I'll show you that on the zoom. There we go. You can see that the wire is sitting slap bang in the middle of the screw there. I have to excuse my terrible camera today because the sun is beaming through the window. I've got the curtains drawn, but it's still super bright. So we're just going to do the same the other side. It's a little bit trickier on camera because you really want to get up close and see what you're doing, but let's say just I always pop a tool in there, it just helps hold the coil in place. And then just wind up your Allen key and hold that leg up so that it sits right in the middle. When it starts to nip, you can just pull it for a little bit to take up any slack, and then just nip it up, and then have a little look, make sure that's sitting dead in line with the screw, it's not gone underneath. Once you're happy with that, you can nip that up real tight, and that won't move, that won't slip down. If you've got it dead central to that screw, you can crank it up nice and tight, and that's not going to go anywhere. And the importance of that comes into play a bit later on. So just position your coil, put it up away from the deck, and I'll let you have a look at that close up, and then I'll show you the next thing to do. So we've got those legs exactly halfway on the screw. So now what we can do is we can do the old school twist and bend. And that leg comes off, and that is not protruding whatsoever. Now this technique probably only works on standard Canthal or stainless steel wire or N80, something like that. It won't work on, you know, fancy builds like Claptons and Tigers and Hives and things like that, because they're made up of multiple strands, and waggling backwards and forwards is just going to cause a mess. But on a single build like that, they are flush as anything, and that coil is not going anywhere. So I'm really happy that that is not going to cause any shorts, and that is going to be a lovely little vape. And like I say, that should come out about 0.9 of an ohm. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a heat cycle for it and check the ohms, which of course you should always do all of this before you do any kind of vaping. 0.84, 0.85. Now this is sort of a little spaced coil, so you don't need to pinch a spaced coil, but I just run a little thing across, and that just helps get an even glow, so it gets rid of any hot spots. That is glowing away just the thing. That should settle down now. 0.86 of an ohm. So there we go, that is perfect. I'm just going to put my glass back on the top section whilst I'm waiting for that coil to cool down. Make sure you don't ruck up the O-ring when you do it, just give it a little twist and a push, be real gentle, just take your time, and make sure it's sitting nice and flush, because you don't want to break the glass. You get a spare, but you know. Right, we'll get some of our organic cotton, and like I say, remember I'm doing mouth to lung setup here, so I'm going to wick it up differently to how all the other reviewers have done it, and it kind of goes against the grain. But like I say, this works for me, and it might work for other people that do mouth to lung. You know, nice slow mouth to lung inhales. None of this big gulps of direct lung, clouds and clouds. This is, you know, old school way. So pull our cotton through, and then just cut it just a little bit past. Probably cut on too short. Just a little bit past the actual diameter of the deck itself. So that deck there is 22 mil, obviously, across here. So I've cut the cotton, so it's probably about 24 mil, something like that. Remember, you can always cut a bit more off, but you can't stick it back on. There we go, yep, that's perfect. Now, in the other reviews, obviously they're doing it mouth to lung inhale, so they're saying either cut the cotton short, lay it up on top here, don't put it down the channels. Some people say go down to this little step lip here, but no, not for us. Right, let's prime it up. Do a little bit on the underside. I don't go crazy to start with, it just helps the wick stick where you want it. Right, so that's how I cut plenty of cotton. I'm literally gonna stuff it down all the way to the bottom. Look at that, loads of cotton wedged in there, totally against the grain of what everyone else does. And the good thing is you don't have to be fussy about it, you can literally just wedge it and that's it, done. And that touches the bottom, fills up that juice channel. And the reason I do it like that is because when you're doing mouth to lung at about 0.8, 0.9, 1 ohm, you don't need a lot of juice flow. You need very, very little juice flow. You know, it sips away at it, and you can fill up a 3 ml tank, and that will last you all day. And that's, you know, going at it some as well. It's such an economical way to vape because it's not burning a super hot 0.3 ohm coil, and you're not sucking, breathing on it, you know, like a trooper. So it doesn't take a lot of juice. So you know, you kind of don't need massive juice flow. So hence the extra cotton stuffed in, filling up the juice channel. That will slow it down, and that will work a treat. And because it's laying all the way down there, and this isn't a juice flow control device, you screw that chimney on, that's just gonna, you know, clamp it down. Doesn't matter if you've trapped a little bit over the edge, it's not a problem. It's not going to get a dry hit, and that is going to work out perfect. So there we go. Let's fill her up. Little filly up technique on these as well. It's going to be a bit tricky to show you because you're looking directly down on it. Obviously, with all atomizers, you want to leave a little air pocket so that you create the vacuum when you screw the top cap on, so that it doesn't force all the juice, you know, into the chamber where the wick is and out the airflow hole, which really I should have turned off. Oh, it is turned off. Hey. But with these, people are sort of, I can't really show you. They're kind of filling it up so you've got the air gap visible here. But because of the design of this top cap, if you fill it right up to the bottom of that T-bar, not the top of the T-bar, the bottom of the T-bar. There we go, just pop that in there. Not sure if you're going to be able to see this, but that is, if I look at it from the side, can't really show you. If I look at it from the side, there is, it looks like I've filled it all the way up to the top. But if you look at it from the top, this T section here is probably about 3 mil thick. So I filled it up to the bottom of that T section. So when I screw my top cap on, which has got a flat section here, there's still an air pocket either side of that T section. So I've got my maximum amount of juice in there, might even be a touch over 3 mil. You just screw that on nice and slowly. There we go, now I can show you. You see that I tip it on its side, you can see how much juice I've got in there. But it's still a big old air bubble. So there's plenty of room. Right, let's have a vape. Right, let's go for it. Might help if I close off the airflow and set that where I want it. Mouth to lung, literally tiny little hole like that, and that is perfect. Very nice, absolutely lovely. I'll swap out the drip tip for one of our little resin ones. That looks much nicer. That's a great little vape. So there we go, that's how to do the Serpent Mini for a mouth to lung inhale, and hopefully that's helped. I'd say that's how I do it, and that's my preferred vape. Everyone's different, you know. Hopefully there's some people like me. If there is, then hopefully that's helped, and I'll be doing some more videos soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.